Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 tips that you need to know before you start playing New World. These tips will include things like how to avoid really big mistakes and how to save yourself a lot of time. And how to make your character very powerful early on so you don't hit like a noodle. By the way guys, if you are looking for a very fast and detailed interactive guide for leveling in New World, you might want to check out the New World Hub's new leveling guide. You can pre-order it now. Like, these guys have been grinding on their own beta of the game, finding out all the best tricks and methods to level extremely fast. And if you use my discount code, you can get $5 off. So be sure to check that out. But anyway, let's jump in. So my first tip is don't pick a faction too early. What is inevitably going to happen on basically most servers is there's going to be two factions that get very densely populated, but there'll be one faction that will be very underpopulated. I would hold back on picking a faction until you know which factions are going to be, fairly decent, and which faction is going to be the dead faction that doesn't have any territories anywhere. Because that's the mistake I made when I started playing the closed beta, is I, picked a faction that I thought was the coolest. Turned out that faction were just totally dead on my server and barely anyone played them. So do the main storyline until you get to the point where you have to pick a faction and then stop, okay? And then focus on other things. There are many different ways to level in this game. And you really shouldn't be focusing on leveling too fast anyway, because there's other things to prioritize in New World. It isn't just a game where you just, let's get to max level as fast as humanly possible. So yeah, wait for a little bit before you pick a faction and then pick the one that, is fairly decent. But that leads me on to my second point is you really shouldn't be focusing on leveling in this game. You shouldn't be focusing on, let's just get loads of experience by doing quests and daily quests and faction quests and town projects and everything like that. Let's just get XP and kill stuff. It's not like World of Warcraft, guys. This game is much more like Valheim. I very much think it's a Valheim MMO, basically. You need to focus on grinding up your skills. And the great thing about grinding up your skills is that they also grant you experience, okay? So you're basically killing two birds with one stone. You really cannot avoid grinding skills in this game. Like, you have to grind skills. It's very much like RuneScape in that regard. So if you get to like level 16, don't have any of your skills maxed out, then yeah, you're definitely going to be suffering if you do that. So yeah guys, make sure you keep your skills leveled up. You should always be able to obtain any node in the world. Right, say for instance you're in an area where there's plants or there's ores that require level 50 for you to obtain, then you need to be level 50 while you are questing in that location. My fourth tip is always have flint on you, okay, enough to make a camp, alright, because you never want to be in a situation when you can't make a camp. You go to a new area where you want to do some quests and you can't make a camp because you can't find any flint. You can always find wood everywhere, pretty much wherever you are in the game, apart from when you're in the Highlands, but always have the materials on you to make a camp, because you set your camp as your respawning location. You don't want to be, miles away from the nearest town and die and then have to run all the way back. So always be prepared, always have the materials to make a quick camp. Now a lot of people are probably wondering what is the best weapon for leveling in this game. And in my humble opinion, I definitely strongly believe that it is the hammer build, because you have so much ridiculous AoE damage with this build, and then with a little cheeky talent, all of your damage is returned as healing. It practically makes you immortal. I'm really surprised it didn't get nerfed. So I would recommend leveling in the hammer build. It is really fun. I will also link a video in the description on how to really optimize this build, because you will want to be using the Ice Gauntlet with this build to make it that tiny little bit better, because you can like ping pong pull loads of mobs at range, stack them all up, and then destroy them. You can basically get entire quests completed in the space of one pull, one execution. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out the hammer build. For number 6, you always want to keep your weapons upgraded pretty much like every couple of levels. The best way to do that is to just buy cheap weapons off the auction house, because there's going to be so many people making loads of weapons to grind out their skills and everything like that, and obviously looting. Basically, weapons are just going to be extremely cheap on the, well, not auction house, for trading post. So you can very quickly and easily just keep your weapons decently upgraded. I wouldn't spend too much gold, like, a ludicrous amount, but there's always cheap weapons over the auction house to keep your weapons upgraded, which obviously means that you will do more damage, because your abilities normally scale off your weapon damage. And obviously the more damage you do, the faster you kill mobs, which means the faster you complete quests. And ideally what you want is your weapon to have the maximum amount of stat of your primary stat. Say for instance you're doing a hammer build, you want it to have just plus strength on it if you're looking to really optimize the damage of that weapon. The 7th tip is do town projects. I didn't do this on the closed beta, I started to do it on the open beta, and I really regret not doing town projects because they give you ludicrous amounts of experience. So always be picking up the town projects when you're out and about doing your faction quests or your side quests or the main quest, whatever. Always be doing the town projects while you're out there. Try and pick up town projects from a couple of different areas as well to maximize the your efficiency, because yeah, these town project quests like normally give you like a quarter of your entire experience bar when you turn one of them in. So yeah, always be doing them. They normally also encourage you to like simultaneously level up your skills as well, which is also great. 8th tip is when you are lightly equipped with gear, you will do 20% more damage. Now, strongly think that when you're leveling is just the best way to go. Like 20% extra damage is pretty difficult not to ignore. And if you figured out a build which gives you a lot of survivability and you're stocking up on travel rations and health potions, you shouldn't really struggle to stay alive. So I don't really think while you're leveling the higher armor levels are really needed, unless you are going to be tanking dungeons and stuff like that. So I would just recommend to just stay lightly equipped for that really big damage boost. What you can actually do is you don't have to wear full light armor. You can wear some pieces of medium armor and light armor and still remain lightly equipped for that damage boost. My 9th tip, I'd recommend for you to grind reputation to get your faction gear, basically at every single level bracket, because although you may be looking at the gear and you look at the stats and you think, well, those stats don't benefit me, what you can do is get little emblems as well with your reputation points and then recraft all the gear pieces to have the stats that you want. Plus the faction gear normally looks awesome and better than all the other gear, so you may as well just, take advantage of that faction gear. Alternatively, what you can do, something I like to do, is also buy gear off the auction house, and I like to buy gear that just has my main stat on. That basically makes me an absolute glass cannon, but with my build that's not really a problem because I do so much self-healing, is never really an issue. Again, go and check out my, my leveling build guide in the description as well. And for my last tip, I'd always recommend for you to stay stocked up on rations and potions, so you always want to be keeping your cooking and your arcanum skill leveled up to make the best potions and the best rations. Health does not regenerate passively in this game, unless you're sat down or something. I think you actually need a campfire as well, so save yourself a time, just create loads of rations. Even if you just make the crappy light rations, it's going to be enough to keep your health topped up. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to end the video there. Good luck with leveling when the game does finally launch. My name is Midgoblin. Until my next video, ciao.